And welcome back to Father and Fun. Let's play Outlast. This is episode 10. I'm Espresso Steampunk.
And I'm Shecky.
And here we go. We're starting right off. We had just killed Rick Traeger on accident or on purpose. It's not entirely clear, but we win. So now we found our way in a burned up cafeteria. He's just some guy.
Just some guy who's sitting there with fire all around him.
Yeah, he seems to imply that he set the fire himself, and half of his face seems to tell that story as well.
We didn't start the fire. Doing a little Billy Joel there. Okay.
Yes.
If anybody remembers Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire.
They should. Actually, that was on, it was a downloadable song on Rock Band.
Oh, all right, cool.
So, and it's difficult to sing. I mean, as you know, it's like Leonard Burns. Oh no, that's the end of the world as we know it. But still, very similar.
Yeah.
So yeah, I faded out because I got lost. You have to crawl under the stupid thing, and there's so much like fire and lens flare or whatever that I couldn't figure it out.
Now, what are we trying to do at this point?
You know, unfortunately, we are literally just trying to escape. And
finding an exit, finding a way out of here.
Yeah, and...
there was a guy on the ground there. Whoops.
But yeah, anytime you see fire, it's like, well, I guess I have to activate the sprinklers.
Yes.
Like in any video game, if there's fire, you have to put it out. And then you can move on. But this is actually almost anticlimactic, because as you can imagine, like, we're going to be pursued again. Of course, that fellow Chris Walker is still out there. But after the whole Rick Traeger shenanigans, this is like nothing. And of course, I'm hunting for batteries and documents. It's actually a bit confusing, this part of the level, and it gets worse, but there's like hardly any light, so you're just burning through batteries, and then you're...
Why not just jump out the window? Oh, there's bars on the window. Oh.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, you could figure something out.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Silly me, what am I thinking?
No, we're talking about psychopathological proximity stress disorder. I actually should have looked that up. I'm not sure if that's a real thing or not, or if they just kind of came up with it for this thingy.
Proximity stress disorder?
Well, psycho something proximity. So
if you're close to someone, there's a proximity.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if it's like, you know, if it's more like if you're a victim of these experiments, just being around crazy people will make you crazy or something, but hard to tell.
And you need to hire somebody to clean this place up is what they need.
Yeah, well, you can't have Captain Eight Fingers doing it, that's for sure. So you'll notice it just squeezed through a thingy, and that's part of what makes this area so anticlimactic.
The baths, the cafeteria, the laundry.
It sounds so swanky.
Doesn't it? Yes.
But basically, anytime Chris Walker is chasing you, you just run back through that little crack in the wall, and you're safe. So it's like
you can't get through there?
Yeah, it's super anticlimactic. And I'm going to pause now. So your phone rang, and I forgot what we were talking about. I think we were just talking about how swanky the baths and the laundry sound.
Right. Oh,
there's the Seaman.
There he is.
And yeah, originally I hid in the locker in there, and I think he found me. So I'm trying to find a better place to hide. And like I said, you just sneak through here. Wasn't sure he'd even seen me at this point. And really, after Rick Traeger, this character is just kind of underwhelming. Like, he's killed me before, so it's like less scary because you already know basically what's going to happen. The one thing that makes him a pain in the ass is he'll occasionally throw you and then like block the door, so you can't escape.
Look, checking out the old locker again, huh?
Yeah, and you know, maybe it's because lockers were smaller by the time I got to high school, but I've never heard or seen anyone get stuffed into a locker like you see in the movies all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they probably have downsized them to save space.
Yeah, much like an airplane or something.
Yeah.
Oh, this is where, I may have kept the death in here. I may have cut it out. I don't remember. But like I said, it's nothing new. But I wanted to say one of the I had posted about Rick Scott because that's what we talked about in episode 9. I posted on the Something Awful threads about that, and one of the followers, SS Neoman, a loyal follower, I'm so thankful. He had brought up the question of whether or not you had heard of the shenanigans the Satanic Temple had done. And I think you had mentioned that you didn't, so
No.
I'll catch you up.
Okay. Does it have to do with Rick Scott? If it's satanic, it has to do with Rick Scott.
You would think.
Yeah.
That's a great connection to make, but in fact it's almost anti-Rick Scott, or at least anti what he stands for. Well, I don't want to keep mentioning his name because I said we would cut back on that.
Yeah.
But basically,
Voldemort.
yeah, precisely.
That's all.
He who must not be named.
Yes.
But so the Satanic Temple has a maybe it's their headquarters. It's in Orlando. And what the first thing I should preface this with is when people think of Satanism, they assume it's like devil worship, and in fact it's not. I mean, there's devil worshiping, but Satanism as a religion, as an organized religion, which it is rather about like the sanctity of the self. And it's like each person is like the center of their own universe. Each person is their own god, kind of, because they're in charge of their own fate and whatnot. Obviously, I haven't read all the books and stuff, but the reason this is hilarious is because they occasionally take a stand by like holding a mirror up to society, sort of. The biggest known case was some school, I don't have it written down, I think it was a high school, they were distributing Bibles on campus, basically. And people were like, hey, you can't do that. And the school's response was, oh, we're not handing out the Bibles and talking about religion. We're merely, oh yeah, here we go. They said, we're merely leaving the Bibles here on a table for people to pick up if they're interested.
Absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
Separation of church and state, period. Constitution. Come on, folks, get with it.
Yeah. So what the Satanic Temple did was they came up with their own literature, which was basically a coloring book about Satanism. They're like, okay, well, if people can just leave books out, we're going to leave our books here.
Absolutely.
And within a short amount of time, the school caved, and they would rather not have Bibles out to be picked up than have Bibles and satanic literature out.
But consider this. What's to keep Muslims from putting a Quran there?
Absolutely.
Or Jews from putting a Jewish Bible
Absolutely.
there?
And
know?
that's
what they don't get. That's what they don't get.
Well, that's what they don't want to admit.
It's me, and what I believe, and everybody else should drop dead.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like...
Very Christian, by the way. It's a very, very Christian way to look at life. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll mention, I don't want to admit this, but I'm sure most of the viewers can assume I have been on online dating sites, or maybe I currently am. I guess we'll never know.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the like questions you can answer is, should evolution and creationism be taught side by side? And I mean, it's a yes or no answer, but the more thought out answer, the explanation is, you know, when people say, yes, creationism should, like, one of the answers is, yes, students should hear both sides, but it's not just two sides.
Right.
Like, if you're teaching creationism and people say, yeah, let's teach it, they only mean their creationism.
Exactly.
It's like, do you know how long it would take to teach about every religion's, like, theory? And
Right.
and then once you start bringing up, you're like, oh, okay, we'll talk about creationism. Let's also talk about Satanism. People flip out, even though that reaction itself kind of proves they don't know what Satanism is about.
Even forget about Satanism. How about atheism?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? My God. They would think, oh, this is the devil speaking. But it's not. It's people who believe in science rather than... I guess somebody telling old tales a couple of thousand years ago.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, like Samuel L. Jackson has said, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
Yeah, you got it.
Or there are known unknowns and there are unknown unknowns. Well, that's actually arguing the counterpoint, I think, but it's from Pulp Fiction. It's highly quotable. So
Sure.
And it's Samuel L. Cool, so he can say whatever he wants.
Exactly. I'm not standing in his way.
Speaking of standing in people's way, like, the twist that the game has started pulling since Rick Traeger is you have to just be brave and sneak past these variants. The people who are hunting you, like, stealth is basically, hiding is out of the question. You have to just watch them and basically sneak up behind them and then creep by. And that's one of the things that had been giving me a hard time with this section of the game. But after I cut out like 50 minutes of hiding in lockers, I realized you just have to get it over with.
He's over there on the right, isn't he?
Yeah. And another thing, as you'll notice, it's dark in here and it's really disorienting. So I'm not even sure where to go, and I've admitted that I'm following a walkthrough, and it's become less and less helpful. It's like, your goal is to get into the baths and turn the switch. So after you watch out for Chris Walker, and then get by him and pull the lever. And I end up, like, running in a square for 10 minutes until I realize, where hello, friend. Where the signs are leading. This is cool, though. I totally parkour past his ass. Because he's running in a circle and I'm hopping over shit. And at least he's slow. Oops.
Oops. Here's that locker again.
Yeah. I was shocked he apparently didn't see me. I thought he would make a beeline right up to me. I was literally just hands off the keyboard, just repeating, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Like, you're kidding me. I've already spent so much time in this level. Even this video is longer than it should be, but there's just not that much I could cut out aside from more deaths, which I did. He's just standing there chilling out. It's quite frustrating.
And you just have to hope that you're not claustrophobic.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, like the breathing noises on top of looking through a locker are quite unsettling. Oh, he's not asleep, but that would be pretty funny. If there was like a version of this, not a version of this game, but a game like this, but it's also like Hunter S. Thompson, and you just never know if what you're seeing is real or not, and then you just pass out or get drunk or something. Sort of a comedic version. Though I do want to say, I think you've lucked out. You don't realize it yet. But at the same time I bought this game, I bought another game called Alien Isolation, which is a very similar game, but it's set in the Aliens universe, Ridley Scott movies.
And I have lucked out because?
Good question. Because originally, this was going to be like the warm-up. And I thought after Dad is aware of the mechanics and stuff, I'm going to have him play through Alien Isolation. Just to see what happens. But the game has gotten repetitive enough, and I think you just simply wouldn't enjoy the experience. So you lucked out.
Look at all them bathtubs. What is that about?
Well, we're in the baths, except they're all full of blood.
I've never seen any baths like this before.
Yeah. I assume the designers probably saw like an old asylum photo or something that they took inspiration from.
Right.
And they're allowed to. I will give them artistic license if it keeps the game interesting.
Well, it's kind of like when I was in basic training in the Army. There were toilets, one right next to the other. There were no stalls. There were no separate.
No curtains.
No curtains, no nothing. Just like a lineup of tubs here, a lineup of
wow.
toilets. And you sat there next to your friend and whatever and did what you had to do.
Was it like urinal etiquette where you leave a space in between each person if you can?
If you can, but if you have like 10 or 12 of them along one wall.
Yeah, you were talking about the malaria medication where it's like you just...
Well, that was in Vietnam. In Vietnam, we were talking about now hooches. Now, we're not talking about bathrooms, but that's a hooch the same way. You go into one of those outhouses, and you've got like 2 rows of wood with 3 or 4 holes on each side, and that's where you sit and do your business. And there's you got to suck it up and do it. You can't-
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
It's not. It ain't the most pleasant thing in the world, but when you have to go, you just have to go.
I would assume that unfortunately you end up having bigger concerns than
Yes,
that.
yes, yes. Somehow you can manage to handle that.
So yeah, tell us about the malaria medication, because I think,
Oh, you think people would be interested in that?
well, it's a story to remember.
Yes, it is. When you're overseas, like in an area like in Vietnam, and malaria was prevalent, we had to take a malaria pill once a week. And we got that malaria pill, they gave it to us when we were on the food line for lunch on Monday. And you took it, and within probably 4 to 5 hours, your body would say to you, I must go now. and you see guys squatting on the side of the road.
Wow.
I mean, it would be like the cramps were so intense that you couldn't wait. You couldn't make it to an outhouse.
Wow.
You just dropped your drawers and did it. And yeah, that was the thing. A lot of guys didn't want to even take malaria pills.
Jump scare.
Whoa! Whoa! Surprise, surprise, surprise. Just like a malaria pill. That can make you crap in your pants too.
Nice. So, I mean, it's not like you could say no to the malaria pill. They gave it to you and you took it, right?
Well, some guys didn't. They just, I mean, it was so intense that some guys refused. I took it, and I usually managed to be. But here's the other thing that would happen. If you made it to a latrine, you'd go in there, and most of the time you'd find there was no toilet paper.
Oh.
So people would leave newspapers in there.
Oh, my goodness.
And you would wipe yourself with the New York Times or whatever. And hope that you didn't get like newsprint all over
Wow.
your butt.
Well, if if it was the New York Post, that would be, I
That
think,
would-
appropriate. but
Appropriate, yeah, absolutely.
I don't think that existed back then.
Right, right. Or Fox News for sure.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
That's
those
very
were the
funny.
days.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know friends who have served in like Iraq and Afghanistan. They did not mention that. So I assume someone came up with a better pill.
Yeah, I think there are better. Well, there are some better ones. I took one when I went back to Vietnam about 20 years ago.
Oh, right.
And that was worse than the original pill.
Are you
that we
kidding
had.
me?
It was called Larium, and it caused, oh my God, it caused me to think I was going to die. It
Holy
was
shit.
really, really the worst pill in the world. And I cannot believe they're still prescribing it.
They are?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
It drove my blood pressure up to 250 over 150.
Holy shit.
And my doctor said to me, there's nothing I can do for you except take a lot of Valium until it gets out of your system.
Wow. Well,
Yeah, it was like, yeah, I don't recommend it.
yeah. Well, I think maybe we'll talk more about your return to Vietnam in the next episode.
That's an interesting idea because there's a whole lot of things that happened between my first trip there in 1967 and my second trip there in 1996.
Excellent. So now the viewers have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I'm Espresso Steampunk.
And I'm Shecky.
Have a good one.
See ya.